Hello there. Welcome to the High Road to Leadership. Today's segment is part of the collaborative Slingshot Success, which is all about health. Because if you are going to lead well, you have to be well. And I am so honored to have Liz Oliver in the studio with me today. Welcome, Liz.
Good morning. I always love our time together.
Me too. So, quick introduction. With over 2 decades of experience as a registered nurse, Liz has dedicated her life to helping others be well, spirit, soul, and body. She focuses on nutrition. She is my own personal nutritionist, I have to say. She has, for 22 years, though, provided care, comfort, and clinical excellence to her patients. By facing her own health challenge, which you're going to hear about today, she started the journey and has become a certified holistic nutritionist. But I could give you on and on about her credentials, but right now you get to feel her energy, her heart, and her level of knowledge. So, Liz, get us started. I love to hear your story, and I don't know if you're going to start with that, but tell us about you.
Man, your intro is better than the Rocky soundtrack for me. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here today. Yeah, God has given me quite the testimony to share, and that is my ultimate goal in life is to shine his light and love to those and inspire hope. So today I'm going to teach you some very practical and easy to implement tips that are going to make you feel better. I do want to start off by sharing my testimony because that is what absolutely led me to where I am today. So I'm a two-time cancer survivor. God thinks I'm very strong. He's given me the power to do so. I had leukemia as a child and breast cancer as an adult. And although those two journeys look vastly different, each of them led me to the path that I took. So I was diagnosed just a few days before I turned 4 with ALL. I was a pretty sickly little child. I spent every birthday, holiday, and most of the days in between in a hospital. And you really begin to develop these strong bonds with the ones taking care of you. So I knew I wanted to be that person. The bedside nurses are really the ones who are in the trenches with you, and you really get to know those who are that have that special light, and that is what I wanted to be. So as soon as I got out of high school, I went to Gulf Coast State College, where I became a registered nurse, and I absolutely loved my bedside career as a nurse. I focused in labor and delivery and neonates, but just I love taking care of people in general. Then the second diagnosis came. I found out middle of about my mid 20s that I was having some health issues. They wanted me to follow up with an adult oncologist that I had not ever seen before. So he summoned my records from Shands. And that is where I found out that I was part of a phase 1 clinical trial, which phase 1 clinical trials essentially means how much drug can we give the patient before they have adverse reactions. And for me, it was a whole bunch. I had 3 adult strength chemos for 3 years. And I found out at that point that I was the only one in my clinical trial who lived, which I'm more than grateful for. But that all came at a cost. Like I said, I was a very sickly child. There was a bug or virus around. I was going to catch it, had chronic pain, gut issues, just lots of things that, the answer was there's nothing you could do about this. It's because of the chemotherapy, and it's just kind of the way you're going to be. He provided a lot of insight because he actually specialized in childhood cancers and survivorship. So he was able to, one, tell me that, yes, all the things I had been facing were from the chemotherapy, but he was blown away at the fact that I lived. He was like, I've never seen this much medication given to anyone and live. So, yeah, he was just blown away. So he told me at that point, because of the chemotherapies, I was 10 times more likely for I'm sorry, 5 times more likely for breast, lung, and stomach cancer, 10 times more likely for melanoma. So I knew at some point in my life, cancer was going to rear its head again, but I didn't think it was going to be at 36. So when I was doing my monthly breast exam, I felt the lump. I knew it was not supposed to be there, and I went into prayer. I didn't need a mammogram or a doctor, which I did later, but I knew it wasn't supposed to be there. I asked God to please just show me the way and to guide my next steps, and He did that. So I found Dr. Leanne Keneally out in California. She specialized in integrative oncology, and she really taught me how to change the terrain of my body and to create this environment in which cancer or anything bad could no longer thrive. Whole body, mind, body, and soul, we worked on that. And the interesting thing is I couldn't get into her for about 3 months. And so I began, going down Dr. Google and doing all the things I could do. But within 2 weeks of changing just the way I ate, nothing else, I noticed a massive. So migraines that I suffered from the time I was 12 were gone, eradicated. I've yet to have one since. It's been 7 years. Gut issues were better. My skin cleared up and my energy and vitality just soared. And it really started showing me that, my goodness, like, I have a lot of power in this journey. And look at what God has made our bodies capable of doing. So that's where this part of the journey came from. So I went back to school. I became a certified holistic nutritionist. And now I have the greatest honor, to walk alongside others who are trying to take control of their health and feel their best. And that's what I do now. So it's really exciting. Through this cancer journey, I really found, like I said, that God has created our bodies to heal when we give them what they need. So what we choose to put on our plate, we actually have power. We have the power to choose that, and we can change the way our bodies feel. So I believe healing is the absolute cornerstone of any healing. You can put whatever you want in this blank, and nutrition is at least going to help it, if not eradicate those symptoms. And so it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I get to walk alongside of someone each day. And it's everything from weight loss to brain fog to energy and just showing up for themselves. And so it's a lot of fun.
I have a question. You mentioned that when you went to Dr. Keneally, she had you change the whole terrain of your body. Tell me, what do you mean by that? What is the terrain
Yeah.
of your body?
So it's the internal part of our body, meaning our gut. So we really, and all this is with nutrition because this controls it. So eating the right foods to help nourish your gut. 70% of our serotonin is made in our gut, which is our feel good, happy receptor. So we want as much serotonin as we can. The liver is the chemist of the body. So we have to support that. So that's through food and herbs. Detoxing the body, meaning sauna, rebounding, detox baths, just really changing the whole train because we are inundated with chemicals here in this world. We don't live in a petri dish. So we have to sweat, we have to work through that. And I'm going to talk about that there in the slides, how to detox and how to work your lymphatic system. Because if you're not detoxing, then where are all these cells that you're trying to kill going? They're going to just build up in your body. And so we have to detox while we're also killing off all the bad cells.
All right, so tell me more.
Yes. So nutrition, that's slide one because it is the most important one to me. So, like I said, I believe nutrition is the cornerstone of all healing. Everyone's concerned about genetics, but surprisingly enough, genetics are only responsible for 3 to 5% of cancers. And even if you have the genes such as BRCA gene, which I do not have, but yet I had breast cancer, you get to choose whether or not, or you can enable that gene to turn on or off. And so genetics load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. So just because you have that gene does not mean it's going to express. And so by eating the right things, by detoxing, by moving our bodies, we can actually lower that toxic burden and hope that that gene never turns on. So that's very exciting to me. We obviously want our plate to be full of real food. So if I'm going to say it the simplest way, not the easiest way to do, but the simplest way, it's going to be to eat real food. So fruits, veggies, and high quality proteins. Like I said, that's not the easiest way because that means we're in the kitchen doing these things, but that's the simplest way. We are in a society full of go, 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 do, which means we have to, eat from out of windows and grab and go. And most of those foods have a lot of other things other than just watermelon or cucumber or whatever that is in there. It's got processed foods, things that our body doesn't recognize. And that's where the trouble comes in because it increases inflammation in the body. I'm going to stop right there and talk about inflammation. So inflammation is really the root of all disease. So in our body, we have normal cells that start to turn rogue, and they're called free radicals. That's kind of the buzzword right now. So free radicals are a cell that are either missing an electron or a proton, and they need something to make it whole. And that's where antioxidants come in. So fruits and vegetables are antioxidants. Berries are very high in antioxidants. We're going to talk later on in the slides about melatonin, which is our natural go to bed, but that's an antioxidant, and those antioxidants come to that free radical and say, "Hey, what are you needing?" And whatever it's missing, it donates it, and now it makes this free radical whole. And this cell can be a happy whole cell and go on throughout life and die like it should. If it doesn't get that, it's going to turn to inflammation. So think of like rust on a bike, oxidative stress. That oxidative stress will lead to inflammation, which will ultimately lead to things like lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, any arthritis, cancer, whatever else. But it all starts with these one little cells going rogue. So by dosing yourself with good, nutritious food every single day, you're going to minimize free radicals, which are going to later on not lead to disease. So once again, powerful, right? And that's the difference between the two journeys that I had. My first journey was eat whatever you want, don't let her lose weight, ice cream, coke, milkshakes, whatever. We needed to lose weight because of all these drugs we're giving her that are making her sick. But there was nothing I could do at home to heal other than rest. Whereas the second go round with changing the terrain of the body, it made sense. It's like, wow, I get to choose how my body, how my genes express. I get to choose how I'm going to feel the next day. And even now, when I slip up and, want to have one of those things that I know aren't very good for me, I don't feel well the next day. And that's when you start creating those mind body connections of like, man, worth it? Probably not. So it helps me. It's my why on why I can say no to a lot of things that I want. My friends know if they come by like with birthday cake or whatever, they'll say, do you want that? And I'll say, absolutely, I want that, but I'm not going to eat it because I'm not going to feel well the next day. And I know for my case that I don't need sugar because sugar feeds cancer. And that's what we learn too with nutrition is, what foods are going to help you feel better and what's going to help exacerbate the problem. So for a cancer cell, I know that there are 10 more insulin receptors on that cell than a normal cell is what pulls the sugar into the cell. So if I eat sugar, like that birthday cake that I want, it's going right to those cancer cells or bad cells, should we say, the ones we don't want to grow. Whereas my normal cell's not going to get any of that. So I really think of nutrition as am I feeding health or am I fueling disease? Once again, not an easy way of thinking of it, but that helps me kind of decide what I'm going to do. So if you're not eating just fruits and vegetables and meat, we have to go to the grocery store, and that can be very daunting because the marketing, the ads, the buzzwords, gluten-free, organic, non-GMO, verified, like what, my poor husband, when he goes to Publix, he's like, he'll call me, he's like, I'm in the egg section. There's organic, there's cage free, what do you want me to get? And I'm like, organic, pasture raised. And he's like, oh, okay, well, they don't have them. Like, they have them. You got to keep looking. And he's like, how many eggs do they have to have? And it's hard, it's hard to go through. And they call, he's like, and they're $13. I'm like, those are it, the most expensive ones. But it's hard, especially if you're not doing this every day. And I do most of the grocery shopping, God bless him. So, because it's so much harder for him because I can navigate these things. But I want you to remember that box, whatever's on the front of that box, someone paid a marketing company thousands of dollars to make you want to buy it. So it's going to have pretty fonts, it's going to have pretty colors, it's going to have all these buzzwords, and it's going to ultimately confuse you. So there's really no substitute for flipping that box over and looking at the ingredient list. So some tips that I like to teach all my patients are three easy tips. One is that 5 ingredients or less. Okay, that is going to bring it closest to nature. So there's fewer ingredients, the better. Can you pronounce all the ingredients? Okay, because if you cannot, your body does not know what it is, and it's most likely going to lead to inflammation. And then the third thing is, are there any seed oils? And this is the tough one because they're in everything. So main ones you're going to see are vegetable, canola, sunflower. Stay away from them. The ones that you want to focus on are avocado, olive, and coconut oil. Those are good alternatives. Those are what I cook with. I even use like grass-fed butter and ghee as well. But those are all close to nature. But the good news is they've got all these great apps now like Yuka, Bobby Approved, Healthy Living, and you can download them and literally just scan the box and it will give you a yes or no or a thumbs up or thumbs down on if you should buy it. So I'm going to tell you a story about that. So we here in Panama City, we have no juice bars and we have no Whole Foods. So if I'm eating like I'm supposed to be eating, I'm cooking it and I'm scavenging these grocery stores that I have trying to find the best products. So I was in Whole Foods in Sarasota. I love to go there every time I'm there. And I was buying black beans and I was like, oh, they have these great little spicy black beans. This will be nice. And so I flip it over and it had more, it did not follow my rules. It had more ingredients than I was used to, but I skimmed them and they were all spices. So I was like, oh, it'll be fine. So I bring it home. Well, my husband just discovered the Yuka app. And so he's been scanning everything in our home and he's scanning. He runs out with these black beans like it's a grenade. And he's like, what are these doing in here? And I was like, oh, I just got those, I was going to add them to our salad. And he's like, they have canola oil in them. So these were organic black beans from Whole Foods that I paid $3 for that had canola oil, and it was in the middle of all those spices it was stuck in. The thing with seed oils is we know they're going to lead to inflammation. It wreaks havoc on our hormones, on our energy levels. They are not good for us, but they are in 99% of our food supply. And so that's when I say the simplest way to think is just to eat fruits, vegetables, and meat, but it's by no means the easiest way to live. So I would download those apps, whichever one you find the easiest to use, and kind of scan everything. The other thing I've realized through being in this journey for 7 years is that oftentimes companies buy out other companies. And so you have to scan and make sure and read those ingredient labels more than just once and then trust and verify. So you really need to be checking those more often. So that's where the apps come in. Also, when you're buying, go ahead. Got a
I
question?
was just, we'll put those in the show notes, but the one that you mentioned was Yucca, and I'll
Yuka
again
and
note it'll be
Bobby
in the
approved. Bobby approved
how do
is a
you
Bobby
body approved.
Bobby is the guy. Bobby approved. His, I mean, he is, if there's any kind of artificial flavors, even like from some good brands that I know, it's a hard no for him. So he's probably the hardest nut to crack. But he'll definitely, it's very simple. It's a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And then the Yuka app, Yuka, and then the Healthy Living app is another good one. That one's actually by the Environmental Working Group. They put out the Dirty Dozen each year, and those are like the 12 you need to buy organic, and then the other ones you can kind of skimp on. Generally, it's berries and thin skin. So I love the environmental working group. You can also look at your skincare products and all of those, household cleaning, all on those apps. So I have them all on my phone and kind of go through them for various things. But the other thing you want to do when you're at the grocery store is stay on that perimeter, because that is where most of the real food is. Of course, the bakery's there as well. But when you're out and you're buying your vegetables, I want to just give a couple little tips there. So a purple onion has more nutrients than a yellow onion. So always buy more color. More color equals antioxidants, which antioxidants we know can donate those cells to the free radicals and stop inflammation at its source. So we want to get these nutrients in. If you think about, like, if you've ever cleaned berries before and you laid it out like on a napkin or a towel to dry, when you go to pick that up, it's got all these deep colors, those purples and blacks, and that is antioxidant. That is what you want. You want the more color, and it's going to be better for our body. And then really just trying to get as minimal ingredients as possible. So do you have any questions about that? I know that's a lot. I can talk about nutrition for forever. I do want to say right here, think progress, not perfection. The thing my patients hear most are, it's not what you do some of the time, it's what you do most of the time. So do your best. No one's going to be perfect. That is not the expectation of God or anyone else. But these are just some ways that will give you some tricks to kind of get past the front of the box.
Now, those are those are great practical tips. Tell me more.
Yes. Okay. Sleep. All right. So sleep is the ultimate reset. It is not a luxury, it is a necessity for our bodies to heal. So when we sleep, our liver, our kidneys, our brain, they're all squeezing out toxins. In fact, when I went to a symposium last year, I found out that the number one risk factor for dementia is lack of sleep. So that's big. So as we're sleeping deeply, our brains are squeezing out these toxins so that we don't get these plaques that later on lead to dementia. But it's the time that the body really cleans house. And so we need to be getting good restorative sleep that will allow our bodies to do what we need to the next day. So I'm going to teach you just some easy ways to increase your quality of sleep. The magic number they're saying is 7 to 9 hours, and that's different for everybody. We all have different, demands on our life and what we have to do. But the timing really matters. And so that's what I want to focus on today. So our melatonin, which is our antioxidant that's going to help us squelch free radicals and feel better and sleep deeper, is highest between 10 p.m. and midnight. So it's super important that we're getting to bed during that time. We know that if we sleep before midnight, we're going to feel better the next morning. In fact, the saying goes 1 hour of sleep prior to midnight is worth 2 hours of sleep after midnight. Isn't that crazy, right? For
That's
all of us that are
interesting.
sleep deprived. So some things that disrupt our sleep: blue light. It's a tough one because it's everywhere. You and I are sitting on a screen right now, and guess what? It's got blue light. Luckily, on our phones and our computers, we can turn it to night shift mode, and that will block some of the blue lights. You can also get some of those blue light blockers, but blue light basically blocks melatonin, which is what we need to sleep restoratively. Eating before bed. This is the tough one because typically we're running around all day. We come home, we're eating dinner, and then we're wanting to watch something on TV and we're wanting to snack. We really need to try to go to bed on an empty stomach. So I typically encourage patients to try to not eat 2 to 3 hours before bed because digestion trumps everything else. So instead of household cleaning and cleaning itself, the body, it's going to be working on digestion. And I'm a techie nerd person. I love data. So I wear an Aura ring, which tracks your sleep. And every time that I eat too close to bed, it'll say to me, did you eat like last night? We noticed that your resting heart rate never went down. And it's because it was showing you my body is working on digesting and it's never able to bring it down and get in that rest and digest mode that we need. So no eating before bed. This is a really hard one for a lot of my patients. So I normally say start an hour before bed. Once you get that under your belt, then go to 2 hours. And then the ultimate goal is 3 hours. And honestly, I even struggle with 3 hours now. This is where intermittent fasting comes in. A lot of people, a lot of buzz about intermittent fasting, and it's great. I personally believe you should skip dinner and eat breakfast. One that's for your thyroid and for health in general, but that way you're going to bed hungry. And all my sleep scores go through the roof whenever I either move bedtime up to like something like 4:30. I think, as we get older, people tend to eat earlier. I think that's just wisdom. We kind of call it the early bird, but I think it's wisdom because they probably realize the earlier I eat, the better I feel, right? And you definitely get more sound sleep. Morning sunlight. This is a big one, and I'm gonna have a whole section on this. But getting morning sunlight sets the whole rhythm for your sleep. So morning sunlight is going to help increase your melatonin when it's time to go to bed. And then if you're having trouble going to sleep and turning your brain off, I love magnesium. Magnesium is responsible for 400 enzymatic functions of the body. We are all devoid of magnesium because of our soil. So I love magnesium glycinate for bedtime. Also chamomile teas or any kind of sleepy time tea that you can get at Publix. That's a nice nighttime ritual. And then, deep breathing. I always like to take 5 deep breaths before bed to just kind of set the nervous system. And I have like a little bed routine. So I kind of put myself to sleep like a baby. So, I wash my face, I brush my teeth, I go to bed. I don't plug my phone in near the bed because I don't want those EMFs with electromagnetic fields around my head while I'm sleeping. I want to protect this brain of mine. So I charge it on my dresser, which is away from me. And then I take a couple deep breaths. I write in my journal, like to kind of end the night and then, give my gratitude to God and go to bed. So I literally I visualize it as tucking myself in.
I like that. That's great.
Yes. Do you have any questions about any of that?
No, it's just kind of interesting because I'm thinking about how with babies and children, you do know that a routine is really important. You have this routine that helps them go to sleep. And I just never have equated it to, oh, it works the same for us too.
Yes. And with the Aura ring, this is why I love the data because it really gives me my why. And you and I, as a patient, you've heard me talk about my why a million times. But when I know why, it makes me want to do it, right? And so with the Aura ring, it shows me like I want to sit in bed and watch TV with my husband because it's a time that we connect and it's just, I can snuggle on him and we can just have that like downtime. But I never get very good sleep scores on the nights that I do that. And so I try to not even turn the TV on when I'm in bed. Like we have bedroom, we watch TV in the living room and we come to bed, it's to journal or to read the Bible or to go to bed or whatever it may be. I feel better. I feel more rested the next morning. And it's all because of the melatonin production, which is huge. We need it. We need it in order to live. Like with cancer patients, they'll take lots and lots of melatonin, like up to like 100 milligrams a day. Like a normal gummy has like 2 to 5 milligrams. So it's that powerful of an antioxidant to where like they know that it can stop cancer cell growth. So it's super important, but God makes it in our own body. The world we live in is stopping the production. So we just got to have to mitigate that. Blue light blockers are a great way to do that, especially like if you already wear readers at night.
Run through lots of.
Yes. So my morning ritual is sacred to me. When one, waking up at the same time every morning is just the way that we set our own circadian rhythm, and our body loves it. It loves routine, should I say? So I try to go to bed and I try to wake up around the same time. So this morning was rough for me. I didn't really want to get up and get going, but I was like, well, I'm going to do this because I know my body's going to feel better later. So I got up first thing this morning. I went and I got my morning sunlight. It is a non-negotiable, even if it's like this morning's kind of gloomy and doomy, but just seeing the light will actually signal this whole cascade of events to happen in our body. So it doesn't have to be like the ball of sun shining in your eyes. But when we get up and we expose our eyes to sunlight, it creates this whole cascade of events. So cortisol, which we need to get up and go, is going to go up, and then our melatonin is going to naturally come down. Okay, which is super cool. That those go in inverse reaction. So one goes up, the other goes down. The really cool thing is that the moment that happens, God has made our bodies to where the opposite thing happens in 10 to 12 hours. Meaning, so if I woke up at 5, by 5:30 tonight, my melatonin is going to naturally rise and my cortisol is going to come down. And I
Hmm.
feel, I mean, I'm ready to start winding down about that time. So that's going to allow us to have more of that antioxidant in our body, and it's going to help us get more restorative sleep all by morning sunlight. And it only needs to be like a couple of minutes. It's not I have to sit out there for hours. It's just a couple of minutes exposing your eyes to sunlight. So I go out there.
So I have a question. Does it need to be literally outside or just through your
Yep.
windows is okay?
So you can do windows in a pinch. I do the windows, especially in the winter, because I don't like being cold. I'm a Florida girl through and through. But sometimes the windows have like a film on them or like a protection that can block the UV light. So in a pinch, yes. Like generally my winter routine is I have a pantry window and I'll open that up and I'll sip my warm lemon water and I give my gratitudes to God and I just let the sunlight hit. But the more I'm learning and the more I'm reading, they say it is better to get out there for like 2 minutes. So I now try to just go out there, get the actual, non-blocked sunlight, and then I'll come in and do more like inside if I'm cold. So you don't want sunglasses and you don't want your blue light blocker. So if you have the readers that have the blue light, we need those off so that the UV lights can get through. So that's going to signal to the brain, hey, it's time to wake up. Let's go. I don't do caffeine until breakfast because I don't want to startle my response. I want to gradually wake up. So I do warm lemon water. Lemon water has a plethora of things that it helps with. One, it aids in digestion. It helps, like I said, when we're sleeping on our all night, our bodies are detoxing. So I think of it as a car wash. It's just kind of rinsing the body and getting it ready to go. But you will notice that you'll want to go to the bathroom because it's actually making your bowels work and helping detox. So it's a great, gentle way to detox into the day. So I use like 6 ounces of warm water. I don't like super hot, with half of a organic lemon squeezed in there. And then I just, like I said, I walk outside and I just put my feet on the ground and I let that morning sunlight hit and I just kind of talk to God and give him the gratitudes and thank him for the day he's giving us. And then that's my morning routine. So I feel better. I feel more energetic. And to talk about my husband again, when you live with someone that does healthcare, you hear it all, but you don't always follow what they say, and that's okay. I mean, he respects me and he knows, and he'll he will tell you I'm, brilliant when it comes to this, which I appreciate, but he doesn't always implement it. Well, the algorithm on X got him, and he started going through, and he's been following Gary Brecka and Huberman and a few of these men, and he's like, "Man, have you heard about morning sunlight?" Yeah, yeah, love, I do. I do it every morning, and he's like, because I used to get it out of bed earlier than he did until he started getting morning sunlight. Now he beats me out of bed. So he started doing it. And within just 3 days, bedtime started moving up. He was ready to go to bed. I mean, he's like, I'm getting so much tired earlier. I'm like, oh, well, that's because your cortisol is going down and your melatonin is naturally going up and you're getting ready for bed, sleeping more restoratively, not needing as much sleep. He's had some gut issues that have gotten better. Like he could not believe the transformation with just morning sunlight. And he noticed that within a week. So I generally, when working with a patient, that's one of the first goals I set with them because it's easy to do and you only need 2 or 3 minutes to do it. And then you're going to feel the benefits pretty quickly. So I love morning sunlight.
I love that. And I like that you talked about the lemon water. It's like a car wash for your bodies.
It is. It is.
Great tip.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I'm working like from a weight loss standpoint, I'm trying to shift them to a little bit more protein. And protein we know it slows the GI tract down, and so that can cause some issues. So generally, if I can get them to start with the warm lemon water, they're going to feel better because we are supposed to be using the bathroom at least one time a day, if not more. And this is a very common misconception. People think that, oh, well, I never have and it's normal. But that is not true. God intended us to use the bathroom and to detox. So that's a huge way that we detox toxins out of our body. If not, that is staying in us. And then every night when our bodies are trying to clean themselves, they're having to work on that too. So it leads to inflammation and just overall yuck. All
Got
right.
it.
All right. Any questions on those?
No, good.
All right, I could talk about these for days, so you just interject if you need it, if you have any questions. Okay, movement. Movement is ultra important for many reasons. A lot of people think movement equals weight loss, and that is a byproduct. But movement is the way that we help our bodies detox. So our bodies have these amazing lymphatic system in it, and it's the garbage collector of our body. But so it goes from literally from the top of our head down to our feet. We have lymphatic glands and lymph nodes is what they're called. So our circulatory system has the heart to pump it. That's the veins and the arteries and the heart's pumping that. But the lymphatic system, which is collecting all the garbage in our body, has us to move it. So if we don't move it, it just stays stuck. So all of us have had a sore throat at some point and we reach down and we're like, oh wow, those glands are swollen. That's our body's defense mechanism going, hey, I got you. I'm going to take this foreign object, I'm going to wall it off, and I'm going to leave it right here until your immune system is strong enough to respond to it. So I'm going to take care of it. So if it stays there, it can lead to a lot of other things, tonsillitis, whatever you want to put in there. But when we're moving our lymphatic system, it's going to help open that up and get it into the circulatory system so the body can get it out. So the way we move our lymphatic system is deep breathing, which is called diaphoretic breathing, which is where our belly goes out when we breathe. You're a singer, you'll know how to do that. Not very few of us walk around breathing that way. Like it's a very intentional thing. It's not a natural feeling. It might be for you since you sing, you're used to it. But so diaphragmatic breathing and movement. So any kind of movement. I love rebounding, jumping on a little mini trampoline. You can even bounce on your toes. That's going to do the same thing. Walking is my favorite. I mean, I tell my patients, don't go join a gym, just go outside and especially walk in nature. So when we're walking, we're moving our feet, and that's moving all the blood from the bottom of our toes to the top of our head. And that's going to open up those lymphatic channels that will help them get it into the circulatory system and then out of our body. So walking, I think, is by far the most beneficial thing that we can do for our health. I like to kind of create habits with things that we already do. So if you're talking to your mom every evening, do a walk there. If you're talking, if you're walking the dog, there you go. Like have these things that we're already doing and add it to that. A 15-minute walk is incredible for our health. So once again, I'm a nerd and I wear a continuous glucose monitor from here and there just to kind of see how my body is doing with new foods or how it's doing in general. Like I said, I know that sugar feeds cancer and I don't want that. So I kind of spot check myself every few months. So I learned that a 15-minute walk after dinner would lower your blood sugar anywhere between 20 to 30 points. And I thought that was incredible. So I had a patient who was a diabetic who had a monitor on, and I asked her to test it for me. Now she was 80 years old. So she came back and so she's not moving very quickly is what I'm getting at there. She came back and said, it lowered my blood sugar like over 30 points, like just a little 15-minute walk. And I mean, she's on a walker too, by the way. So I mean, we're not moving quickly. And I was like, well, that's incredible. Okay. So when I got my CGM, I started trying it. So I have a slide that I show a lot of my patients and they can't believe it. But basically I was eating like a chickpea pasta and that it's carby. I mean, it's good for you, but it's still a lot of carbs. And we know that when we first eat something, our blood sugar can spike for up to 2 hours. Within 7 minutes of walking, I went on a treadmill. I walked on an incline of 0 and a speed of 3 so that everyone could do it. It wasn't just like I wasn't running is what I'm trying to say. Within 7 minutes, I lowered my blood sugar 20 points. It's supposed to keep going up there. And I halted the blood sugar spike. By the time I got done with the 20-minute walk, it was 52 points. I dropped it from 125 down to 73 with just the walk. So I always say if there's ever one time to move, I think after dinner is the best because we generally go and sit down. Whereas during the day, we're eating breakfast, we're eating lunch, we're moving most of us are moving, and we can burn that off and use that as fuel. But dinner is a different game. And we typically consume most of our calories at dinner because we actually get to sit down and enjoy it. So I love doing family walks. That's one of the things I encourage my patients to do. Get the whole family out there, take the dog. But like I said, if you're I love a walk and talk. A lot of times if I'm like following up with a patient, I'll do it after dinner so that I know I'm going to be by 6:30, I'll be ready for that. And then I'll say, let's do our walk and talk then. And then I can walk and move my body while that. So not only am I going to burn calories, but I'm also going to go to bed on an empty stomach, which we want. I'm going to go to bed with a lower blood sugar circulating in the body. Because what happens when we walk? Our Our leg muscles, our quads, are the largest muscles in our body, and they have insulin receptors on them. So when I was walking for that 20 minutes, I'm telling my body, hey, I need to use this sugar for fuel. So it's going to pull that blood sugar into the muscle and use it as fuel, and it takes it out from the free floating body, which will then lead to fat later on. So it helps lower fat, helps keep our blood sugar good, helps decrease inflammation, and then, of course, our lymphatic system is moving. So love a walk and talk.
So my question here, and again, we'll put it in the show notes, but you called it a CGM. I was going to say most people who are not diabetic have not looked into glucose monitor. Is there an affordable one? And we can put it in the show notes.
Yes.
But so what are we going to be spending for a glucose monitor if we're not
So a
diabetic?
Stilo, I think it's about $80 a month. And you wouldn't need it for forever. It's just like I don't wear them constantly. I just kind of spot check myself. Like, depending on what's going on in my world, sometimes I'm eating more protein, sometimes I'm eating more plant-based. And so I like to see like what foods are spiking my sugar because although these foods are good for us, for me, I still don't want to walk around with a blood sugar of 200. So I like to know, or do I need to eat this and then go for a walk? And so I don't wear them all the time. So you can, sometimes insurance will pay for it, especially like if you're pre-diabetic or if they have insulin resistance, which is going to lead to diabetes. So a lot of times your provider can write for a CGM just to kind of see where you're at. If your A1C is rising, which is that 3-month average of your blood sugar, you can also get one there. But they've got them over the counter now. So Stilo, I think it's STILLO. They will now link with your Oura Ring and they'll talk to each other. So the one that's tracking your sleep and stress will also be tracking your blood sugar, and then it's all in one app. It's really, really cool. I haven't done it yet because I have the Libra through my insurance. And so I haven't got to get one of those yet, but I can't wait to see. I have some patients that have, and it's a lot of cool information just because it's showing you 1 + 1 = 2. And you're like, man, okay, I don't know if I want the one today to equal 2. There's some days that you're going to want the ice cream. And there's some days you're going to give in and just say, this is what I want. And that's okay. But then you see this data and you see that you don't sleep as well. And you see that your blood sugar went through the roof and you wake up the next morning feeling achy and tired. And you're like, okay, it wasn't worth it. And so it's just creating those mind body connections. And when I'm working with patients, I have a lot of patients that come in and see me weekly. They'll come in and it's almost like confession. They want to come in and tell me all the things they did wrong. And I'm like, hey. And I always go back to, how did that make you feel? And they'll look and I'm like, how'd you feel the next morning? Oh, I felt like garbage. I felt terrible. And your thumb pain that we finally got rid of, did that come back? Oh, it did. Okay. So I'm creating the mind body connection so you can just be more informed next time. And guess what? You might say yes next time, but you might not.
It makes me laugh for you to say it feels like they're coming to confession.
They are. They come in and they're like, oh, and I am, this is me. Yeah, I'm so lovable and I want to cheer you on. Like I'm their cheerleader, and I don't know if they think I'm gonna like whip them or something, but I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. But it just shows you the pressure. We're all trying to do everything perfectly and there is no such thing. We're just trying to make better informed decisions. And by creating the mind body connection, like I had one yesterday, a sweet lady that I've been working with for a while, she came in and she's just feeling discouraged. One of her main goals are weight loss, and it's just kind of stalled. And so I had to bring her back to, in the last 2 weeks, what have you seen? And it was, she's had thumb pain we cut out dairy. We realized dairy was a culprit for her. Thumb pain she's had for 25 years, gone, gone. Now, if she adds any kind of cheese back in, it comes back, right? So, but that's a good mind body connection. Her GI tract has always been a wreck. She would go to the bathroom 1 or 2 times a week. Now she goes every day. She's feeling better. She can get on and off the floor with her grandkids. She had them for 3 days and it didn't, and in her words, it didn't kill her. All of these things. And that is the small incremental changes that we're trying to make that are going to stick with it. If we go in and try to be perfect and do all of the things I'm talking about today, if you wake up in the morning and try to implement them, you're not going to be successful most likely. Because guess what? You already had some of the information. You already know that these things are good for you, but it's hard to change exactly where you are and do a 180 unless, like with me, I had a diagnosis. That makes it a little bit easier. For me, I literally had this visual of because I was a sweetaholic. I wanted sugar all the time. I had sugar every day or like a glass of wine or something like that. I now know that if I eat any of that sugar, it's feeding these cells that I'm trying to eradicate. That's the visual for me. That's my why. But everyone doesn't have that why. And Lord, I don't want everyone to have that why. I want them to just be able to feel better as they go. But creating mind body connections on why I'm doing this is going to make you do it for the long haul. And this is my other thing with movement. Think of the last vital 80-year-old that you've seen. They're moving. They're
Oh,
moving.
yeah.
100%. It's not even a question. They're moving. Vital, because that's the key word. Vital. You have to stay in motion. And so we're not going to want to move any more when we're 70 than when we're 43. So I got to start moving now and making the change now so that when I am 70 and then 80, I want to move. Because you're not going to just wake up and go, you know what, I want to start walking every day. That feels good. So by creating small shifts, such as like a 5-minute walk, that's generally a goal that I set to the first week is, and they'll go, well, I can do 30. Well, no, you can't, because if you could have done 30, you've already would have fit 30 minutes into your schedule. I want a 5-minute walk. I just want them to get into the habit of moving their body every day. If you can't go out for a walk, jump on a mini trampoline. Like I said, bounce on your feet. Put a song on that you love and dance like a lunatic in the kitchen, whatever. Just move your body. Get your body used to moving, and lots of good things are going to happen.
I love it. I love it. I just want to give you a heads up that we probably have about 5 more minutes.
Okay.
So we need to, I'm fascinated and I could
Love
talk
it.
to you and
Okay.
listen all
Yes.
day,
All
but
right.
just kind of
So
a heads up.
hydration, big one. So hydration is going to help the lymphatic system. That's going to help kind of rinse in like the morning car wash with the warm lemon water. We have to have water. Most of us are walking around dehydrated and think that it's normal, but it's responsible for brain fog, low energy, lack of just clarity, and even anxiety. So we have to drink water. This is my water jug. I love to have a big one. This is 40 ounces, and it will tell me throughout the day like where I need to be. I love this. I carry that with me and I fill it up twice a day. A good kind of starting point is 64 ounces of water a day. It does need to be purified because our water systems are inundated with all sorts of toxins. So even if it's a Brita that goes in the refrigerator, that's fine. The refrigerator filters are fine too. Just make sure that you change them out. I often find times that people lived somewhere for 10 years and never changed it. So we need to be changing those. So purified water, putting Celtic sea salt into your water or any kind of salt is the best way to hydrate yourself, because we need sodium to pull the water into the cell. So I'm sure you drank water before and then realize that all you do is run to the bathroom all day. So by putting the salt into the water, it's going to actually help hydrate you versus just running through you. This is a hard one because people forget. So I like to tell patients to set an alarm, um, morning, mid afternoon, kind of throughout the day, morning, noon, 4 o'clock, and then 6 o'clock. I like to have my water done by 6 or 7 so that you're not up all night going to the bathroom. So I say set those alarms just as a reminder, and then it'll become habit that you're like it. And guess what? When you start drinking water, you realize how dehydrated you are, and you actually want more water. So water is essential for life. If we don't have it, we cannot be detoxing and we can't be filling our wonderful self. All right. The bottle I just showed you is a glass bottle. Environmental toxins are a real thing. Plastics are xenoestrogens, and they're very convenient, but they're xenoestrogens. Xenoestrogens, simply stated, mimic estrogen in our body, which are going to wreak havoc on all of our hormones. So we need to eliminate as many plastics as we can. So glass water bottles are great. Anytime you or have a storage container, instead of Tupperware, you need to replace that with Pyrex. You don't need to do all this today, but as you need more Tupperware, go get Pyrex. Teflon and nonstick, which are convenient, equals some bad things. And it's going to lead to inflammation all the way around. Even like our spatulas and stuff that we're cooking with don't need to be plastic, because those are, microplastics. Same thing with cutting boards. They need to be wood, and make sure there's not any plastics, because those little pieces are going to get inside of us. They say that we consume about a credit card worth of plastic every week. And those are hormone disruptors.
Disruptors.
Sorry, I think disruptors for men and women. So we don't need that. Our children don't need it either. So get away from all the nonstick and the plastics and get to more glass and stainless steel. All right. Grounding, talked about this earlier. So the earth actually emits energy. It's not woo woo, it's science. So by having our bare feet on the earth, we're going to receive that energy, and it's a healing energy. It's free. God's given it to us. So we can do that outside in the soil and our beautiful beaches, but having our bare feet in the grass, and it does have to be bare feet. So the soles of our shoes actually block that, and we need that energy. So once again, my pro tip is in the mornings, I walk outside. I sit barefoot on my stoop with my feet in my grass. I have my warm lemon water. I'm getting my morning sunlight. And then I'm going to do my next step, which is a gratitude journal. So our thoughts are repetitive. 90% of the thoughts we have today, we had yesterday. And that's really powerful just to think about the monkey in the mind, right? And all of the things. So we really need to make those good thoughts and to be very intentional with our thoughts. And that's the same thing with healing. When you're on a healing journey, it can be very daunting and seem very long, and the devil can really get in your mind and start to work. But we need to give all those thoughts back to God. So like I said, I start my day with my journal and I end it. And that's also, I do that with prayer as well. That is where I get my power within from. And so they say that writing 3 things that you're grateful for on a piece of paper per day actually trains your brain to look for things to be grateful for. And this is science too. It actually changes the telomeres of the brain. So sometimes I don't even write them down. I just say them. Like if I forget my journal in the bed and I don't want to wake Daniel up, I'll just, thank God for the trees, the dog, whatever it may be, my health, the vitality I feel that day. But then I see those all throughout the day. And I am one of the most grateful people that I know. I love gratitude. I love happiness because there's always something to be grateful for. So 5 of the things I've talked about today, I do within the first 5 minutes of the day. And that is why I wanted to talk about them because they're so easy to do. We all have 5 minutes to do. And then the movement and the water, we're going to add in throughout the day, but we can do these things. We have the power within to change how our genes express. That is power. And we're not broken, and God has made us to heal. He has given us a body that knows how to self clean, that knows how to take care of itself. We just have to give it what it needs. And that is what I do every day. I walk alongside the others who are wanting to take control of their health and feel better. We're in a society of which, all of these things are normal, but it's not normal. All of us can feel better, and all of us can feel better with small actionable steps. And that's what I do.
That is so exciting. And I think what you just said about we normalize things that are not good for us. And they seem normal because we've normalized them, but they shouldn't be normal. And I love what you said about gratitude. I've started saying to myself out loud every day, I am a healing machine. I am a healing
Yes.
machine. My
Yes.
body is strong. I am healthy.
Yes.
You know, you can almost feel your body responding to your
Uh-huh.
language when you talk to it that way.
100%. And they say, I mean, our bodies, our cells respond to the energy that our thoughts. And so there's a lot of studies out there that you can look up where, they're thinking good thoughts and they're like, have brain probes on the brain and it completely lights up those happy thoughts versus when we're thinking depression and sad thoughts. And like our cells hear that. So we have to be going around talking about being healing machines and what our body's capable of. And, luckily we have our faith to attach that to. But God has made us be able to heal. It's just a matter of giving our bodies what it needs and listening to it. I'm doing this, and then how do I feel from this, and back and forth. Because I can tell you what, the 2 pages of stuff that I just talked about today, they're great, but you can get overwhelmed with them if you let it. And so we're not supposed to be in overwhelm. We're not supposed to be walking around with a checklist in our head of all the things, the taskmaster, go, 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 go. We're supposed to be flowing in his image and being the light for others. And all of this will come together. I do think you need to set actionable steps for yourself. But that's why when you come and work with me, we don't try to tackle all of these things at one time. We do one thing at a time. We get that part of our daily routine in which it's not creating overwhelm, and then we add something else, and then we add something else. So then it's just like we're just chugging along. It's not like we're drinking from a fire hydrant.
I love it so much. I'll just tell one quick story. You've heard
Please.
me talk about my grandmother who died when she was 103, and I can remember walking with her when she was 100, and she was like, "If you don't use it, you lose it."
That's right.
And she also confessed out of her mouth every day, "As my days, so shall my strength be." And she lived to 103 and she was vital. So
Yes.
I've personally seen this. And she didn't have a CGM or apps and stuff like
Yes.
that.
That's right.
But that's where what you're talking about is a lot of common sense that has become uncommon.
Absolutely. And I think that it's the devil, but with the distractions of the world that we live in, we've gotten so busy that we don't go within. We don't see how this makes us feel. And that's like what I was saying when they come in for confession with me each week, I'm like, well, how did you feel with that? Because if you felt great and you could have a big ice cream sundae, then I'm super happy for you. Most of them aren't, but but it's still like, how did that make you feel? Because we aren't connected to ourself anymore and to source. And like it's right here. I mean, we know. It's just we get distracted.
Well, this has been amazing. I have heard you speak many, many times, and I have taken a full page of notes just today. Liz, thank you for your time today. I am just rejoicing at the opportunity for all of us to learn with you and to know that this is the beginning of a grand adventure in health, vitality, strength, and joy. So I like to end every episode by saying the best is yet to come, and I can't wait to hear how our listeners do as they implement and follow up. So thank you. Blessings on your day. This has been amazing.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.